All right, we will call the council meeting to order. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, take the roll.
Morissette.
Here.
Wakefield.
Here.
Anderson. Here. Kennedy.
Here.
Bruck. Hall.
Here.
Mayor O'Connor. Sorry.
All right, first up is comments and suggestions from citizens present. If anybody has a comment that they would like to make, I hope that you had an opportunity to fill out a form with your name and address saying that you wanted to speak tonight. Do we have anybody that had filled the form out?
And if you filled it out, please put it in the drop box behind the officers there. Yes.
Yep.
Thanks for displaying it.
And that is so that we, for the record, we know name and address. Sometimes that gets kind of muffled. And also so that it is not mentioned at the podium. So, but we'll go through the formality. If you do have a comment, please try to keep your comments brief. Try not to repeat other people's comments. You cannot comment on any item that is currently, or that is on tonight's agenda. Does anybody have a comment? Any comment? Any comment? Any comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. We have a delightful ceremony coming up, the swearing in of new police officers. Always a good thing to have here at the council. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So we have two new officers that just started today, actually, and we're going to introduce to all of you today. So Officer Kyle Fenton, you come forward, please. Kyle grew up in northern Michigan, where the majority of his childhood was spent on the water. Prior to his teenage years, his family moved to Green Bay, where he graduated school from Ashwaubenon High School, where he was involved in multiple athletic events. Upon graduation, Kyle joined the U.S. Marine Corps and was assigned to the HMX-1 Presidential Helicopter Squadron, where he was the crew chief of the helicopters that fly the president and vice president around. After 5 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, Kyle's tour ended. He then served one more year in the Army National Guard while he continued to work in aviation. Kyle enjoys the outdoors, hunting, golfing, and spending time with his family. He ultimately received his bachelor's degree in aviation business management. He's married with 3 children and lives in the city. And his wife will be pinning him after the oath. So, Your Honor. Right up here.
Kyle Fenton.
I, Kyle Fenton,
Having been appointed as patrol officer for the city of Hudson, affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
Upside down.
I said draw blood, but you said no.
Yeah, go ahead. Tough talker, huh?
Actually, this is like a perfect time because I can be like, whoops.
All right, Officer Tori Nucky. Oh, when they do that, okay. Tori was actually hired back in January, but he had to go to the police academy. So he started the police academy at the beginning of January and just graduated from Appleton's Fox Valley Technical College last Friday, which Lieutenant Kuzmarek, Sergeant Mossman, and I were able to go down there and see that ceremony. So that was good. So congratulations on that. Tori also started this morning, his first week of admin day. They'll get all their administrative stuff taken care of the first 2 weeks or so, and then be in the squads with the FTOs learning the job. So Tori was born in Cloquet, Minnesota. He grew up primarily in northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. Tori graduated from the ESCO High School in Minnesota and immediately began work in direct care mental health for several years. Tori wanted to pursue a law enforcement career, so he moved to the Twin Cities where he began working hospital security and taking some online classes. When Tori was growing up, he was drawn to music. In his teen years, he was a member of a band who actually won the Battle of the Bands. Tori's band also released a CD and recorded a music video. Tori prioritizes personal fitness, enjoys camping, and spending time in the outdoors. After his oath, his father will be pinning his badge. Your Honor.
Raise your right hand. I, Tori Nucky,
I, Tori Nucky,
having been appointed as patrol officer
have been appointed as patrol officer
for the City of Hudson,
for the City of Hudson,
affirm that I will support the Constitution
affirm that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully
faithfully
and impartially discharge the duties
and impartially discharge the duties
of said office
of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Congratulations to both of you, and welcome to the Hudson Police Department, City of Hudson. All right, next up, we have a presentation from the Hudson Area Chamber of Commerce. It's their annual presentation to the council. Mary Claire.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Thank you so much for the invitation to be with you again tonight. Joining me is Tricia Christensen, and I also have Deb Pittman, who is GM of the Hampton Inn and Suites, and also Mark Garrity, who serves as chair of our tourism committee. So I have a short presentation for you. Also in front of you, I also did hand out the tourism guide for you to take a peek at. And if you choose to not take it with you, that is fine. I will collect it and send it out to folks too. So we reuse those. So a couple things just to start with on the first slide. First of all, thank you to the lodging properties and the Airbnbs and all of those who work so hard to welcome guests and people who come and visit in Hudson. And so as you can see, travel creates jobs. So on the slide, you can see that it supports 15 million jobs in the country, and travel drives economic development. The industry generates nearly $2.9 trillion in economic output, funding public services and infrastructure. And you can see in 2024, Wisconsin reported $25.8 billion in total economic impact from tourism. And we will receive the numbers from the State Department in June about what the numbers and the impact was for 2025. A couple of the Travel Wisconsin strategies. One thing is there one more memory made by a traveler creates experiences shared, which adds up to much more money in our communities. So a lot of our strategies that Tricia will talk about is how many different things there are to do in Hudson. And so if we can get someone to stay one more night, experience one more thing that Hudson has to offer, that just creates more economic development in our community. And the department, they're really increasing their promotional spend in Minnesota, and we follow with that, but that's really helpful to us because we know Wisconsin is a very affordable travel destination. And also, too, with the gas prices higher, we know some folks are choosing to drive versus fly or travel overseas, so that's another piece that we can work with. And then also Discover Hudson does leverage the Wisconsin awareness by promoting Wisconsin weekends right here in the Hudson area.
I'm just going to go through a few of the tactics. We have an annual coordinated awareness strategy that combines promoted social media, because organic social media doesn't really have reach, Google search ads that really target people looking for things to do, print and digital ads, a lot of targeted email blasts that we've done in the past, regional article placement, retargeting campaigns, the tourism packets that Mary Claire shared, and then online travel tips, giving people ideas of what to do once they get here. We have a lot of different marketing placements. Over the year, we had 21 different print ad placements on a regional and national level with a combined distribution of over 3 million. 13 targeted emails that went to Minnesota and Wisconsin, different demographics, but over 500,000 households with a click-through rate of 3%. And then 12 months of Google search ads that had a 6.2 click-through rate, which is very strong. We had a lot of similar partners from the previous year for our ad placement, a lot of lifestyle, both regional and the national Midwest living. But we also added Minnesota Meeting of Events, trying to target people who are thinking about planning their conference and bringing it to Hudson, and coordinating with those people planning to give them ideas of what to do with their teams once they got here. We updated some of the tourism materials. People probably saw last year we had the seasonal shop, dine, play, but then also the holiday version that came out for Hudson Holiday, updating the sip and shop guide that give visitors an idea of where to eat and where to shop, the pad map that really helps people coordinate around town where to go, and then the guide updates, things like Fall into Hudson or Dog Days, targeting people and their interests once they're here. New for 2025, really the big piece was the tourism guide, but also the seasonal retargeting campaign to promote tourism packets. So what that was is if somebody was visiting the website and we could gather information from them, they got a postcard that would invite them to come back and ask for a free tourism packet. So based on the traffic we were getting throughout the year, and we actually capped it at 200 postcards a month, we did send out 200 postcards approximately every single month to people. This is in addition to the new year-round Google search ads that did really well. And then we've been trying to implement some seasonal landing pages. And in 2025, we added summer fun in Hudson. Facebook continues to grow. It's up almost 18% from 2024, which is great to see. And some of those posts got a lot of traction, like 42,000 views. Instagram continues to grow as well, reaching 44% more people than 2024. And then the profile visits went up almost 20%.
We work with all the local organizations, as you can see on this list, promoting all the other events that are held here in Hudson too, because we know that that helps drive visitors. We're also part of the St. Croix Valley Regional Tourism Alliance, which is a bi-state organization where we're promoting all the communities alongside the river with Minnesota and Wisconsin. And we're also a part of a new county-wide tourism partnership that has been launched in this past year. We also continue to present events that drive visitors to spend the weekend in Hudson. So last year for the Spirit of St. Croix Art Festival, that drew over 10,000 people, and that is held the last weekend in September. And I already did check the football schedule, so the Packers play on Thursday, the Vikings play away on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So it's very important to that. We continue to present events that promote weekends in Hudson with the Christmas Tour of Homes. Last year we had over 1,600 attendees purchase tickets for that event, and this year we're celebrating 40 years of the Christmas Tour of Homes. You too could have your home on the tour. If you are interested, please see me. And then we also do a lot to present events that promote weekends in Hudson, again with the Have a Hudson holiday. With this photo is taken from Light Up Night last year when Santa turns on all the magical lights in Lakefront Park. And then again, the lights at the Park Buena Vista, thank you to the city for your continued support. That program is supported by 40 individual businesses, families, to make that magic happen in Lakefront Park. And I'm thrilled that the lights are up for almost 3 months now. So that is very fun.
So a lot of this is really paid off in 2025 because, as you can see, from 2023 to 2024 to 2025, we've really seen a lot more traffic on the website which continues to grow. When we look at some of the top pages from 25 to 24, that events calendar and list continues to be one of the top pages, which means people are searching for things to do in Hudson. The second page that continues to be the top is Booster Day. So way to go, Boosters, because they are one of the biggest attractions in Hudson with their event. The homepage for the Chamber in general is quickly followed by the Discover landing page, and that's really great to see the shift there because a lot of the efforts in 2025 has shown a growth in the Discover landing page from 9,600 to almost about 16,000. Spirit has grown as well for views, and then the last two pages weren't even on the top pages in 2024. So we're seeing more activity around people looking for those activities, and then on the Chamber side of things, people checking out the directory, which is also great to see. Yep.
And then you can see the numbers are up from last year, over 200. So we mailed out 1,800 in tourism packets. We're sent to 48 states in 4 countries. And then the tourism guides were distributed also. We sent those to 31 visitor centers throughout the state of Wisconsin. And new this year, I thought this was very interesting. This is one hotel lodging property. And from the 2025, they had people stay from 50 states and 33 countries that visit Hudson. And this is just one lodging property that I checked with. And in 2026 already, year to date, they've had guests come from 50 states and 23 countries. So I'm going to work next year that if we can gather that data from all the lodging properties that have a mechanism to do that. I just think that's very interesting. And we also, when people sign our guest book, it's so interesting to see where people are traveling from. And this is another important data point that I thought was very interesting. This is from one retail shop on 2nd Street. And her point of sale system allows her to track where her guests come from. So these are folks that come into the shop. So you can see it's over 39 states and 2 countries, but also folks who shop online from her. But I mean, that is a really big economic impact. And again, this is just one shop. One retail shop in downtown Hudson with those numbers. Tourist touch points, we do keep track in the office, how many tourism calls we receive. You can see it was 295 emails that we respond to, and then the number of walk-ins of 670. So there's a slight margin of error because sometimes I might forget when I answer the phone to mark down that I took a tourism call. But I think overall these numbers are impressive in terms of the number of people that we touch throughout the year. Tourism expenses, you can see how the dollars were spent. We spent more on creative and placements in social media and website. The printing is up this year with the tourism guide, and postage is up because you can see how many more packets we're mailing out to. And 3 of us attended the governor's conference last year too, which is always a great educational learning opportunity and just a great place to meet and gather some different ideas. Next year we'll talk about, Deb and I went to the Circle Wisconsin conference this year, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I know some folks like to get just a brief update on the Chamber. I can tell you in 2025, we welcomed 75 new members, achieved a 90% retention rate, resulting in a year-end membership of 508. We were really excited to get over that 500. We created a new community membership guide for members and new residents, created a new page on the website where members can list spaces that they have available for lease, sold over 32,000 in Chamber checks, 36, sorry, thank you. 36,000, which all that money stays local, which is really important. And then we're excited that we presented our first Chamber Foundation scholarship to a student going into the trades. So just a few Chamber highlights too, in addition to the work at the tourism. So thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate your continued support and look forward to our continued partnership with you in the upcoming year.
Thanks, Mary Claire. Anybody have any questions?
Wow.
No, good job.
Good
To you and your staff.
Impressive. Thank you.
Claire and Tricia, thank you.
Sarah has joined us.
Okay.
Sarah, can you hear us quick?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect, yes.
All right, consent agenda.
Brent's got this.
I'm going to read it, yes.
We got to,
I
you
won't make it.
pull the item F, or
Yes.
Well, I want to be able to read it first. You let the clerk do it. No. All right. So the clerk's
My voice.
her voice would not make it through this. So bear with me. Approve the meeting minutes from the May 4th, 2026 regular council meeting. Approve claims in the amount of $897,559.11. C, approve Hudson Lions Club Hometown Music Fest 2026. D, approve Britfest Car Show 2026. E, approve 2026 room tax community subsidies. F, approve HR software from NeoGov, perform and learn modules.
please pull that one.
Got it.
I paused to let Randy put that in there.
Well, I was trying to be a preempted.
I appreciate that. All right, G, approve Ridge's Booster Station, approve Ridge's Booster Station Intergovernmental Cooperation Agreement. H, approve the operators agreement between the City of Hudson and Jarvis and Sons LLC for use of the courtesy docks in Lakefront Park. I, approve final development plans and certificate of compliance for Joelle Miniature Golf at 690 Darnold Avenue. You got me. See, I'm not going to try it.
Seokan.
What's that?
Seokan.
Seokan? Okay.
Move to approve with the exception of F.
Second.
Motion and second to approve consent agenda or consent calendar agenda, I guess. That's calendar used to be a different life. Except item F. Roll call.
Morissette,
Yes.
Oh, you want me to do that too?
Wakefield,
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
I see Sarah's here now. Brock,
Yes.
Hall, Kennedy,
Anderson.
I'm a yes.
All right.
And Kelly.
Anderson. Sorry, I
yes.
all over the board. Sorry.
All right.
Kennedy, Hall, and Joyce is gone.
No, I'll call the roll after this.
Okay, got it.
Motion approved. That's, I was going to say, I foresee a lot of roll call votes here tonight.
I know.
I
I
think
see
so
that.
too.
Either way works. All right, so consent agenda is approved. Item F, approve HR software from NeoGov, perform and learn modules.
I'd asked to have this for the full council discussion.
So, Sarah, did you have a chance to see any of this in Finance Committee?
Unfortunately, no. I literally just landed
Okay,
on my
good. No,
work
that's
trip.
fine. That's fine. Just wanted to, we had,
Yes, thank you.
yeah, okay. Where do you want to begin?
Okay, we have presented a NeoGov software packet that will help our, I guess, lack of human resources department here at the city of Hudson. We have one individual that has been performing a lot of the duties over the last, I would say since it's almost 6 years now, 7 years since Neil had left. The previous administrator, or 2 administrators ago, and she has been performing a lot of the duties. We're trying to get in a software system that we can stay compliant with state and federal standards for for HR activities, be able to onboard people and be able to track and provide, essentially provide training for individuals throughout the city to be able to make sure that we stay legal, I guess, is the best way to put it. We're looking for a software system, and NeoGov kind of fits the bill for everything. It's $8,000 this year. It'll be almost $18,000 and $19,000 over the next 2 years, each of the next 2 years. We would need to work that into our current budget system. But it's one of those situations where we found over the last, hate to fall short of, but I could give you examples of just staying just outside of lawsuits thanks to our attorneys here at the city of Hudson, but we do need to make sure that we are adequately keeping track of employees, working them through the potentials for expansion or increasing their ability to move into other roles and other positions, and be able to also make sure that if we need to go through a performance improvement plan, which we've had to do that a couple times over the last year, we need to be able to have the basis for doing that. And if we don't, we leave ourselves open to situations that we really do not want to be part of. So with this type of a software system, it's a matter of essentially using software to substitute the lack of employees. We should have 2 to 3 full-time employees for a system our size, for the number of employees that we have. Kathy's onboarding, I don't know, somewhere in the range of 40 or so part-time fired personnel. We got then the summer crowd that comes in. All of those employees get added to the mix. And then on top of that, we got our regular employees, and our police department's going to be part of the review process coming up, and that was worked through with the union negotiation. So we've got all of the number of employees that are needed for 2 to 3 full-time employees. Kathy's thankfully been handling it the best she can with her limited responsibilities and still working through finance. And you've heard, of course, the other issue is with finance. Fortunately, we do have one individual that's come on board recently that's been phenomenal to fill a lot of the finance roles, but again, it leaves finance just a little short as well. It's a matter of trying to juggle all the pieces and try to keep things moving along the way we are, without having to add too many personnel.
But having her do this would leave finance even more short.
What's that? Yes,
So
likely. Well,
that's
again, she's
creating a
doing it
different
now.
problem.
Yeah, she's doing it now for the most part.
But if this becomes her position, so is she doing training modules with people?
We have not done the training modules, which we should be doing. Let's say,
But are they specific to Hudson? I mean, because every community, I'm guessing, every municipality has different requirements. Is this just a standard set of modules that they watch?
there are for like disciplinary things, people having to go through, I mean, those are pretty well standard. If somebody goes into a disciplinary issue, you do need to cover that with some sort of training whatsoever. And instead of sending them out to get training, we're able to do that with the training on board.
So currently they're being sent out for that training?
That's part of the problem. We are not.
Not getting
We
it,
don't
maybe.
have any training set up whatsoever.
So
So when somebody's doing something that's disciplinary of nature, and we have no training that we're doing, we're leaving ourselves open to a number of different suits.
I'd have to believe also that this has onboarding where people can do this outside of the first day of work. You can get it set up, get your work done, possibly ask questions if necessary, but having a lot of that done up front. And I have to believe that we have greater risk as well if people are not getting through onboarding and you are causing other issues in that way.
And that's the biggest complaint that I've heard from our department heads is we don't have a proper onboarding system. We have we don't have any way other than, okay, so we get them, they're set up in payroll and we get them set up on all of the insurance policies and everything else, right? And then we say, here you go. We don't have anything that acclimates them to the city and tells them where they can go if they have an issue with their department head or where they can go if they have an issue with whatever. We don't have any of those pieces on board right now. So they're just kind of, employees are left to come on and float for the most part.
I guess I'm just really concerned that if you say she's been doing this, Kathy's been doing this, correct?
Has been doing a lot of she's assumed the HR roles to the best of her abilities.
But now this is going to be 0.5 of her job, which leaves finance committee or finances 0.5 employees short.
Or more, yes.
And I'm not sure that's a fair approach to this, that we might need to take a step back and look at potential options. It's just my
The
thought.
only other option we could do is we need to then figure out how we're gonna hire an HR person, a full-time HR person.
And maybe that's what we look at for another, but I hate to quick do something right now that we can't follow through on, that doesn't adequately Band-Aid something and leaves our finance department a 0.5 staff person less. That's my concern.
It's, you almost have to look to see, you're weighing your risks. So we have our HR, which is significantly important, and finance, but it won't even matter if you have a big issue in the HR area. You know what I mean? I mean, we're trading off, but we don't have any other options in some respects.
Yeah, I mean, your main losses are gonna come from planning and land use issues.
Yeah.
Issues with police department, right? And then issues with HR. Those are where you're gonna get your lawsuits from, those three groups. I don't know, Nick, chime in if I'm wrong on those three.
No, I think you're exactly right, and I, my sense, I haven't been involved in this process, but prior to Brent, Aaron, the prior city administrator, handled HR. Brent is handling HR, but there's not an HR system in place per se, which is really, I think, the thrust of this proposal is to purchase software to create more of a systemized, standardized approach to HR so that everybody gets the same treatment and you have the tools that you need to administer all the personnel requirements of the city, which for as many employees as you have is a lot. So, it sounds to me like, it's a consideration between, do you hire somebody to do HR on a full-time basis, or do you utilize a tool like this one to provide support with the staff that you have? I think that's kind of what I hear Brent saying.
And even if you did bring on full-time HR, say you brought on an HR director, which you're gonna be in that, by the time you get done with benefits, you're probably gonna be in that $180,000 range roughly with benefits and everything for an HR director that has experience. And you're still gonna have to buy the software packets and systems to be able to do this.
But now is NeoGov the only game out there for a city, or can you do an ADP? Can you use any others? I mean, nothing was flushed out. All of a sudden this comes to us and we've got one vendor. Where's the RFP? Where's the policy?
Sure.
Following the process again.
And again, we reached out to a few of them, we did not get any returns.
So this is the only one you got, and this is what you ran with.
And this is exactly what we've run with, yes. It's a full packet.
So we can't do cost comparisons or anything.
Other than that, I know they're gonna be in the same range, but yes, you're right.
That to me is not good fiduciary responsibility.
Okay,
I understand the risk reward,
sure.
but then maybe we need to pause and get more information and go out to bid. Nothing against Jamie and your company, I'm sure it's great, but.
Well, I'm not gaming any, I'm just saying this.
I'm not saying that, Brent.
One
I'm
of the
just
better
saying,
systems out there, yes.
give us options.
Okay.
And the way the budget is so tight, you're asking for, 18 to 19 the next, and then we gotta fold it into a budget.
Yep.
And then not to mention without compensating Kathy for her extra due diligence and her HR work. There's a lot of missing pieces to just tie on an extra 50 grand and to keep digging into a well we shouldn't.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree. I think if, once we decide as a city to go to the next step with HR, rather than piecing it together like we have and survived, knock on wood, so far, I think whether you bring in someone with a background in HR, what comes with that is the software or the computer program or the third-party type thing. Right? I mean, I'm kind of bouncing that. If we found a real qualified HR person, they wouldn't say, let's go back to the manual method and I'll do manila cards for everyone and manila folders for their file. It's kind of, we're not taking a baby step, we're kind of jumping to that next level, it sounds to me. Not right or wrong, just simply that I mean, you know, Kelly, your experience, it's all that, you know, whether it's ADP or whatever, most of that onboarding and training is dished out to an online system or a third-party system.
Yeah, we're trying to patch work what we have with an existing employee that definitely has the desire to go through and has accepted a lot of the HR role already.
Yeah, I think that's a great first step.
And
for what
they
we
have
need.
done all that. They're going forward and getting their sheet, getting her SHRM training. She's already accepting a lot of the role.
Right.
In fact, we're all kind of saying, you know, what I'm hearing from department heads is we expect a lot out of her, and we're expecting a full HR department out of one individual, and we're not backing her with any of the software that she needs to get the job done.
Right.
We haven't given her any tools for her toolbox, so she's
Exactly.
kind of doing the best with what she's got.
And then we have lots of complaints of individuals that I can probably bring forward any one of the department heads to talk about issues of onboarding that we've had, and it's not Kathy's fault or anybody's fault, it's just we don't have the personnel. I don't see, in reality, you guys have seen the budget last year, I don't see us being able to do anything other, we're not gonna be able to acquire a full-time HR person anytime soon. We've got needs in our public works department, we have needs in fire coming up. Eventually, we'll probably have to patchwork back in a finance person at some point. So I'm not gonna say but we're probably gonna need that.
Wouldn't you think
Eventually,
that
we're
the
gonna need more
money,
police officers.
don't you think the money we would pay the next 3 years, we could compensate Kathy at a pretty decent level? And then maybe get a
Well, I'll tell you, we're
0.5
already,
FTE finance back in there for,
well, yes, but I'll tell you, Aaron had already begun compensating Kathy for the additional workload that she's taken on. So
if
when-
she's certified HR, that's a different ballgame.
That will be, yes. But she's already been adjusted when that transition happened, right? When she accepted the additional roles. She was adjusted then. With the 2024, what was it, 2024 wage study, she was adjusted at that time. And then we made an additional adjustment for coming into this year's budget, knowing that she has to take on some of these roles. So that was placed in there.
Can I ask a question? Is the concern here not having an RFP and not looking at other vendors? Is that, Randy, your concern?
The process that was, we have no options here, okay?
Well, I have to take it to finance. Let's say that first. So one of the big process was taking it to finance. Now, yes, I brought NeoGov and a full package to finance,
Yeah.
but
I guess I thought
Right.
it was going to be informative. Here's one of our options that we can look at to see what avenue we want to take, not do this or we're going to get sued. We're barely avoiding a lawsuit. But that's kind of what it feels like. You better do this or we're going to sink.
well, we do need to take this route.
I understand
Whether
that,
you
but I
wanna do
think
it
we
now
need
or
to
if you wanna
pursue
do
it, looking at different options, not this is it. If you don't get these modules, it's not going to work. And I think we need to consider Sam's department. That's costing him a 0.5 position.
But let me answer Kelly's question, because I don't think I answered it. In finance, I said, there's a process. We set the budget, and now everybody's coming back to the well. Just because we're a government entity doesn't mean we have endless supply of money. Everybody is being asked to make cuts and sacrifices. I understand the risk of not, but we also we have a fiduciary responsibility to watch the taxpayers' dollars and go through the process. In business, you set a budget, that's it. You go over or you have a surplus, you get a demotion or a promotion, period. It's no different.
All right, do we have a motion?
No.
Anybody?
Well, I have a quick question for Brent. So you mentioned there's been a lot of usage of HR, or there will be with the fire department, depending on which direction that goes, police. Rather than the general fund, because HR is kind of covering library, police, fire, utilities, maybe at the end of the day, it's coming all out of the same pot, but could we look to all those individual sources and lighten the burden of this to just City Hall?
Yeah, of the 8,000, whatever, a portion of that would get separated out to, well, again, library, we're already paying library, we'd just be taking it back out. But the only other portion is out of our water and sewer, right? So roughly a third of the employees, roughly, are probably maybe from water and sewer. So a portion of that 8,000, 1/3 of it would be from water and sewer. So you're looking at about $6,000 impact to the budget, the city's budget, with about a $3,000 impact if it was a $9,000 split right to the water and sewer fund.
I think what Mike is talking about
I thought that's what you were.
is he's talking about reducing the department funding in order to fund the 8,000. Each one of them paying their
taking
share.
And other communities from fire can share some of that.
Right.
Yep, so then what you'd be looking at is roughly 6,000 spread through all of the departments.
Yeah. Instead of hitting the reserve.
But then the next year,
Yeah.
And then we gotta look at
Next in the
year,
budget.
Yep.
I do also want to point out, just because it's something that we didn't discuss, our contract does have a non-appropriation of funds clause in it. So after the initial, the first year, if it doesn't make it into budget next year, you guys wouldn't be on the hook for anything. So that's just something that I wanted to make sure that you guys know.
In other words, they would drop out and we'd go on about our way, I guess. Didn't work out. But as far as any other ideas to make all this work, I'd be welcome to, I'd love to talk about any other possibilities, but the place that we would do that at is finance.
Finance committee.
Because finance committee handles all the financial piece, finance committee handles all the personnel piece. So this would have to be at finance, which we were.
Right, which we were at, yeah.
I'll move to send this back to finance committee for further discussion.
I'll second that.
All right, motion and second to send this to finance. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'd like to say, it's always kind of an
Motion
awkward.
is approved.
I'm sorry about that, it was, yeah. It's always kind of an awkward spot too, that we're at finance just before council meeting. When we have some of these major issues that we probably do need to sort through, right? So, it might be some of these issues that, and we're gonna have a lot more of these coming up. Discussions that we need to do, working into the ordinance, and a lot of it works through finance because it's personnel issues. We might need to have meetings separate of the council meeting in order to get through some of the issues that we have
Talking about
coming up.
additional meetings.
I'm talking about additional finance meetings.
Not moving the finance meeting to a different day.
Yeah, we would just have an additional
That's
finance
fine.
meeting to get
That's
through
fine.
some of these issues. Because they are large topics that are coming up here.
I agree, and kind of before we started, Lynn herself even said, well, I don't have enough information to make a decision.
Yeah,
Well,
and it
yeah,
can feel rushed. I
Either
get
do
that.
we.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we done?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jamie. We'll talk more.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you for your time.
All right, Lake Malibu drawdown requests from the Lake Malibu Association.
Lake Malibu's
Need to
here.
take this one?
Right, well, who's
Okay, well, I guess I could kick it off a little bit. The Lake Malibu Association, if you remember, last year, they came before the council in, I believe it was the end of June, beginning of July. And they had a proposal for a drawdown. And this council went forward with them, or signing off as one of the 4 property owners of the dam property, signing off on proceeding with their application to the DNR. Okay, we did have some questions even at that time, and I think they went through the process. In the beginning of September, they had their I believe public comment period ended, I think September 1st or 2nd, somewhere in there, the beginning of September. And then we had some additional issues where I think the mayor, myself, and a couple other staff members met with Lake Malibu and the DNR and their representative from Stantec, and we had a whole bunch of questions. We brought that back to council and withdrew at that time. The council withdrew our application, our signature on the application, and then that ended the process last year. So Lake Malibu drawdown did not occur last year because the city of Hudson withdrew our application. So the association is here today to ask once again for our signature as one of the 4 landowners in the application to be able to apply for the drawdown of Lake Malibu with the use of the primary dam. We do still have some additional questions that I believe the Stantec and Lake Malibu is intending to gather and complete a study sometime within the next 6 weeks, I believe is what they were looking at, and they would like to bring that information to us. What they're asking today is for the city to sign off on the existing application for the Lake Malibu drawdown application with the DNR. And I believe they have a representative here from Lake Malibu. Yep, go ahead. Actually, I shouldn't invite him up, it's the mayor's.
Hello, Mayor and Council members. I'm Jeff Lavers. I'm president of Lake Malibu Association. I live at 1319 Riverside Drive in Hudson. We are requesting a signature of an application for the drawdown process. And as one of the 4 dam owners, the city of Hudson is one of the authorized appliquees, if you will, for this on behalf of the Lake Association. We're trying to rectify the situation that happened in Lake Malibu from the breach of the Willow River Dam 10 years ago, where you had a significant breach of the dam and a lot of issues that came into the lake. The DNR suggested the drawdown, and that's why we are here today. It was the DNR's insistence that one of the best ways to approach this is what happens with many impounds, which is what the lake is a drawdown to help mitigate some of the damage within that. The application process requires that all 4 dam owners, so the city, the village of North Hudson, the town of Hudson, and the St. Croix County, all sign the application as the 4 dam owners. That then starts the process for the DNR to then look at their information, solicit public comment, and we've added, as an added component to this, we would like to create a forum with the DNR, with Stantec Engineering, who's been doing a lot of the engineering work, with Willow River Conservancy and other interested parties to conduct a public forum that the Lake Association would sponsor to allow the public to ask questions, to assemble a panel of experts within this, to try to get to a lot of the questions that are out there, including that of the city, and make sure that information is shared. The DNR will take all that information and make a decision as to whether or not to then go forward with the drawdown. At any time during the process, if this city or any of the other 3 municipalities is not comfortable, you have the right to pull your signature, and in essence, it stops. There will be no drawdown, as it happened last year. We're seeking approval today for your signature to allow this process to start. This is not saying it's definitive there will be a drawdown. It's just saying the city is authorizing, and we have the village of North Hudson. We will seek the county and the town of Hudson, their approval as well, for this to allow this process to begin, to allow for the DNR to do their information, to allow us to have the public forum we are looking to have with interested parties, to allow everyone to ask questions, make sure everybody's comfortable. Having said all that, if at any time you decide you're not comfortable, you can pull your signature, the process stops, as it did last year. So respectfully, we're just asking for the signature of the application to begin that process.
Anybody?
Go ahead.
I got a couple of issues. Here's the problem. We got a lot of feedback. Reports saying one thing, reports saying the other thing. The Wild River says you're wrong, Stantec is wrong. Who do you trust? And so where we are supposed to make that decision now, the county and the other municipalities don't want to make a decision right now until they hear what we do. So we're kind of caught in a rock and a hard place. The other question is, if we let the drawdown happen, does it clean that back bay, flushes it out to the North Bay, and will it naturally clean our North Bay? As our concern is our swimming beaches and our recreation out in the North Bay. Those questions haven't been answered.
Correct. And it is our intent through this process, to the best of our ability with assembled experts, answer those questions.
But Stantec says they're not coming back with a tabletop exercise or whatever they call it until after they get a signature. It feels a little better that we can withdraw.
Yes.
But, it's kind of like make it under strap,
Yes, let me just correct one thing if I can. The bathymetric study that Stantec is going to be done is being paid for by the Lake Association, independent of this application.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the time necessary just for them to comprise the information, gather the data. That's independent of this.
But I have two reports in my emails, one different number of phosphorus to the other phosphorus.
Correct.
Who we trusted?
We would like to believe that the engineering firm that the DNR suggested to us, which was Stantec, which has soil experts in their field, have a correct loading according to the data associated with this. What we discovered last year, there was an incorrect calculation that came out of the study that came out of the Willow River Conservancy, and we pointed that out. It actually doubled incorrectly through the calculation within that. It is not to say there isn't challenges within this. We're fully, trying to be transparent. But what we want to do is, it's an interesting process that DNR has. You can't even assemble the right people until you get the application signatures to then get the right people together to talk about. And then if you don't like the information, you can pull your signature. So I'd love to say we could do all this and then we could come to you, but that's just not how their process works.
I guess some of my concerns are in the Stantec, the language. It's less pronounced than implied. That's such a vague, the information doesn't seem like it's good or it's not. It's just, all the language just seems to be wishy-washy, doesn't really have any definitive answers. Do you think more time, there's going to be more definitive answers when they've had, is it 6 months or whatever, since we saw this last? And the definitive answer we got from Stantec is, well, it suggests that the phosphorus mobilization would likely be less pronounced than previously thought. That to me is not reassuring.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no, it's an educated calculation based on available data. This is not an exact science. I'd love to tell you could specifically track weather patterns and flow of waters and be able to be definitive within this. You can't. So what you use is modeling, and you're using to the best available modeling information that is anywhere in the world within this. And so they're giving us the best estimates within this. Penultimately, the DNR makes the authorization to be able to do this based on that assembled data package that they have within this. What I'm asking for is that we just at least allow us to have the forum to be able to present more data within this, and this application simply allows us to move down that path. If we come out of the forum and the other information and the council is not satisfied that you have the information, you have the authority to pull the application and the process stops. But we can't literally start any of it until we have a signed application, which is just the DNR's process within this. I would add one last point, if I might. The need for Lake Malibu doesn't go away regardless of what happens. This is a eutrophic lake. It is in danger. And it's in danger just because of the situation that's happened. It's a flowage lake. Everybody recognizes that. It's the Willow River impounded at the St. Croix. But because of the breach, the lake has become incredibly damaged. This is a lake that sits in this city. You have residents of this city who are on this lake who are dealing with a very, very damaged lake. And we're looking to try to rectify what has happened through this. And the suggestion for the drawdown, again, I will remind the council, was from the DNR. They said, this is your best path forward. We do drawdowns all the time. This is not a new phenomenon. This lake has been drawn down several times in the past, and they said this is the best path forward. And so what we're trying to do is assemble the information to help in that decision making.
Can I ask a question? So this was being discussed and then it was voted down in the fall. Has something changed as to why you're bringing this back? Or is it just renewing the conversation?
So the need for the lake's in peril, that need hasn't changed. So
Okay.
we're just trying to bring it back.
Bring it back.
The
okay.
change in information was there was a phosphorus discussion that was out there that we believe is incorrect. We wanted to make sure that that information was for the public record, on record. I think the mayor has done a very good job in terms of expressing some other concerns for the city that we have agreed to fund to help try to understand what impacts there would be for this. And we're going to do that, and that's the information we want to present. I would love to tell you, I think anybody would love to tell you, bottom line, this is exactly what's going to happen. This is not something that's capable of being done in this. All we can do is use experiences from lots of drawdowns. The state does hundreds of drawdowns. This lake has been drawn down before. We can share only that experience and say this is what the modeling will show. And then at the end of the day, DNR and other experts, weigh in and say this is what we're comfortable with.
So the drawdowns in previous years were not successful then?
They were. The problem is they were all done pre-breach. So 10 years ago, we had the breach of the dam at the Little Falls Dam in Willow River. And so nothing's been done since then. And we have now a very challenged lake as a result.
What were the drawdowns done previous to that for then?
The most recent one was 2009. It's usually for invasive species like milfoil and other areas. And some drawdowns in the past were also to facilitate dam repairs.
I just feel like we asked Stanek to come back with data for us, and because I think we tabled it. I don't think we said no to that. We just.
Well, I think that the time expired on the.
We killed the process
Yeah.
because of the information that we requested. I mean, that wasn't the intent, was to kill the process, but that was the result.
Okay.
What happened to the public hearing that we were going to hold? The city, and I think maybe with the DNR. I think we talked about it in our September meeting last year.
Well, I can't speak specifically to the timing of all of that, Sarah, but let me just say that there likely would be a public hearing if the application were to be signed by all four entities.
And it's necessary to have the signature to have a public hearing. You can't have a public hearing without that signature.
Apparently, the DNR is not going to, and don't let me speak for you here, Jeff, but my understanding is that DNR will not weigh in on any of this until an application has been submitted.
That's correct. It's an interesting process.
So, but let me, and just for historical perspective here. So you talk about the breach of the dam. I think that everybody here should be familiar with that, right? That happened. Did the association sue the DNR?
We did.
And what happened?
We sued the DNR previous to the breach because we were afraid that what has happened would happen.
Right.
We said we filed an injunction for them not to breach the dam until they had a silt and sediment mitigation plan. They agreed to it and breached it. And nothing happened. And we've learned subsequently, and there's a lot of case law on this, it's impossible to sue the DNR.
Okay, so, and essentially what's happened is the DNR has not taken any responsibility for that breach, other than to say, it's our fault. But as far as like cleaning things up, they haven't taken any responsibility for that?
There's been no action specific to this. There's been a lot of suggestions they had. The dredging, you may recall, which we received a state grant for, which has subsequently been proven to be not feasible, given the type of water structure and what's necessary to be able to do that. That type of sediment removal also probably requires a drawdown in order for it to happen. So we kind of took that off the table. The DNR, to your point, came back, Mayor, and said, hey, we want to be helpful. The best approach is a drawdown. And so we're here because, not because we requested a drawdown, we're here because the DNR said this is the best approach. And the Lake Association then took the responsibility to file the application to the dam owners.
So, but forgive me for this part, Jeff, but this is the skepticism, my skepticism, cynicism, if you will, creeping in, is that the DNR is going to recommend that you do a drawdown because it lets them off the hook. Without having to say, we screwed up, you said it was coming, we missed it, it happened, and we're not going to do anything to clean it up, but here's an idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak to their motives on this. But what I will tell you is doing nothing is not a solution. This lake is in trouble, and it's not going to get better on its own. It requires some intervention. This lake feeds the St. Croix. This lake sits north of Hudson from the St. Croix. Whatever's going to happen to this lake is going to happen here to some degree or another. To what degree, we don't know. You have to look at the modeling or other things. I would just, again, implore upon the council, we're just asking for an application to begin the process. At any point, if you want to pull it, you have the right to pull it. But we can't start the process just because we don't have the signatures. That's how it works. We're just trying to figure out how to help this imperiled lake before it continues down the eutrophic path. And if it continues down the eutrophic path, you're already seeing this. The bass fishing is gone. It's very, very minimal within there now. There are more than 8,000 carp breeding and feeding in that lake because it's in a eutrophic state, because it allows itself now with low oxygen levels to be able to do this.
I will say, though, this doesn't look like we just want to start the process. What's in here says it's an application for the drawdown. I'm just saying, You're saying it's a process. That's not what this looks like.
It's the application. So the way this works, and I'm trying to be as absolutely transparent as possible. Mm-hmm. If you sign it, you're authorizing a drawdown on behalf of the city of Hudson.
Yeah.
You have the right at any time up to the morning of whenever the drawdown is to pull the application, and it stops. So while you are approving a drawdown, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. You have the authority to pull that application at any point, and the process will stop, as happened last year.
Thank you. I'm going to, a couple things where Rich was going with that. So we're starting this conversation because it's been suggested by the DNR that you go through this process, and if you get all the signatures, it lands on their desk. And then they'll consider doing it or not, or they'll do different studies, more studies, look at your studies. It's hard, the logic doesn't work to me real clearly that they told us to do this, and then we have to do it, and then they'll decide. That doesn't sound like a good vote of confidence, and I'm concerned, like I said, with what Rich said, that this might be a way to wash your hands of it a little bit. A couple other things, to echo you, Lynn, I circled all the words. Our modeling suggests it may be, it's estimated, it's within the range, it's anticipated, it may be minimalized. I can't even say that, it's such a big word. And if I think we almost like are going back to July-ish where we sort of, or August, whatever it was, and said, I don't think we have enough information. And this isn't a choose A or B. It's sort of, if you let this go down too far, we're going to go into, a black hole because nobody knows how this is going to turn out. I mean, you've said it. Obviously, the DNR's said it may not be so bad. But the other part of me that catches my eye is that, you'd mentioned it's not a perfect science, but the application is there's no science involved. It's when the dam was breached, the sediment flowed through there, and that's a big problem. So your own words, the purpose of the drawdown is to mobilize sediment. Mobilize it where? Into the St. Croix. So while I know you're concerned about it in Lake Mallow, and yes, there are city residences, but there's also village and other people in there. It sounds to me like, let's open the gates and move that problem. You can call it sediment, but it's also unknown problems that are going to come to our North Bay. But again, we stopped right here and said, what's it going to do to our river? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm concerned about Malibu. But is this solution, is it going to cause negatives that we don't know about yet? Or is there a chance? And we said, yeah, you know what? We don't know the answer to that. So let's kind of pause. And then I think you guys said, we'll do some more studies.
Yes.
So I'm not sure that that's been done. And I'm also not sure that if the chart comes back, instead of 1.347 milligrams, it's 2.1754 milligrams. If any of those numbers are going to make us go, oh, let's do it. It sounds super safe. Everyone will be happy. I think it's one of those that it's hard for us. This is sort of a safe spot for us. And then you're asking us to kind of pull the trigger on an unknown that we've done some studies with, but there's no guarantees. And that's a lot to ask of us, because the whole river would be affected by that.
So there is a lot of information here, and I do fully appreciate the concerns within this. We share these too. Listen, I'm on the St. Croix all the time too. I mean, it's not like I want to move my problem to the St. Croix. By the way, most of the problem from that breach is already in the St. Croix. If you notice the amount of silted sediment you have outside of that, that came from that breach. So the vast majority of what you're seeing is already in the St. Croix. So,
and you're wanting to send us more?
No, I'm not looking to send you more. What we're talking about is suspended sediment. The calculations show that flows all the way down. It doesn't stay here. It does not stay. The sediment that you have is what you already got. That's not what we're looking to move within that. That already came through.
So
that's not what Stantec said.
I hate to stop you there, Jeff, but if you look at that opening, just the one that I'm concerned about,
yes,
right, that gives you access from the channel just immediately south of the railroad, that's all silted in because of sediment that's coming down the river.
Yes.
Now, I can't say it's all from the dam, but a lot of what's coming from the dam is ending up there, and it swirls around there, and it is coming into the North Bay.
Yes.
So it's not all going downstream.
No. But the suspended sediment is what we're arguing. I'm just talking about suspended sediment. I want to be very clear within this. And again, I'm not a soil expert within this, and if I misspeak, I apologize.
Clay and sand, I think Stantec said.
Correct. And so suspended sediment is what's floating, if you will.
Okay.
Again, I'll just reiterate, doing nothing will continue to imperil this lake. And so the only reason we're here is because the viable solution as suggested to us by the DNR, I don't know their motives other than the fact that they're trying to help within this, is a drawdown which they do hundreds of these every year. So they're very familiar with drawdowns. The engineering firm that we've hired is the best in the country, according to a lot of the different experts. They are noted in terms of drawdowns and soil expertise. The modeling that they apply is the best in the country within this. I wish it was as definitive as we would all like it to be. It's the best we have available to us.
Can I ask, have you polled, how many members of your association are there? Do you have the whole lake? Everybody on the lake is your association. Have you polled their, took a vote?
Yes.
And
so we do that at our annual meeting within this. And we have not unanimous, but overwhelming support to mitigate with the drawdown.
The majority of everybody that lives on that lake is asking for the drawdown.
Yes, the Lake Association is the 100-plus homeowners that live on the lake, plus anyone within a mile of the lake is eligible to be part of the association.
And now you're quoting that the DNR has done hundreds of these in the state. So if they draw it down, were the repercussions on the other end when they did the drawdown to help that lake? When they drew it down, did it affect where they drew it down to negatively? Do you have those?
I don't. I know they do. I just don't have that information. However, what I would say is, if we could start the process, that would be part of the public hearing.
Yeah.
All those questions and more, whatever else you'd like to have.
Well, it would certainly go to this council's mantra at times that we should be having more public hearings, and this would be a perfect example of us presenting the public hearings, signing it, and starting the process for the informational purposes for everybody.
We can't have a public hearing unless we sign the,
Doesn't sound like it.
They won't, it's the DNR's
says
process,
that?
the DNR. It's their process.
but this is the same group that goofed up the lake by opening the dam, and they swear this is gonna work. And if it doesn't, we can't even go after the DNR apparently, because they'll wash their hands of us too.
So I want to recalibrate a little bit if I may, and I apologize if I misspoke. The DNR is not guaranteeing this will work. The DNR suggested this is a viable option for you. We've seen this work in the other impounded lakes. They are not guaranteeing success. They are not advocating we do this. They suggested to us, if this is a path you want to pursue, we see this as one of the only viable options. You would have to put forth an application to the dam owners, which is the 4 municipalities, which we have done. The DNR wants to be facilitative in the process. The DNR penultimately makes a decision on the drawdown. But as I mentioned, at any time during the process, if one of the 4 municipalities, and unfortunately this impound is with 4 municipalities as opposed to most are just with 1, if any of the 4 decide that they want to stop it, it stops. It doesn't need a unanimous, doesn't need a consensus. It needs just 1 municipality.
Would Santec have the updated model?
Yes.
If we got to the public hearing stage?
They're going to have the bathymetric study, which is looking at flow and what happens within that flow. It's a very advanced component with this. They'll have additional data. But again, I want to reiterate, what Stantec is going to present to you is modeling. And the modeling is based on what's happened with other drawdowns. And so what they do is they take all the knowledge from the other drawdowns, looking at pre and post, looking at what's coming through, what's not coming through. They attribute it to characteristics of this lake, and then they make their projections and calculations. And that's what will be presented.
I'd like to know a little bit more, and this shouldn't fall on your shoulders, but I'm stuck at the idea that, again, there's this sediment that came down with the breach, landed and was deposited in Malibu. And so you guys said, what can we do to solve this? And so, one of the things that you said you started with is, well, let's get rid of the problem. Let's get rid of the sediment. But you've mentioned somewhat briefly that dredging isn't an option. Let's move on. And now instead of getting rid of the bad sediment, let's just push that down to the entire St. Croix River. I need to know more about why, because the DNR also dredges. They're very busy on the Mississippi, and they're very busy, and that's the Corps of Engineers, I know.
Correct.
But I would like a few reasons. I'd like to know who's saying it cannot be done. And secondly, because if we do have a big problem in our North Bay or even in the main channel, are we now going to say, hey, we now need to dredge this stuff out if it doesn't land as the studies show where the flows go? So I'd like to know a little bit more about why we can't eliminate the problem for you, which would also eliminate the problem for us.
So the dredging, thank you for the question. The dredging is complicated for Lake Malibu for 2 reasons. Number one, dredging is going to cost you somewhere between $8 and $15 million to be able to do it. We got a grant for $2 million. So economically, we already said we're challenged. So what can we do with $2 million? There's 2 types of dredging that we looked at. One's wet dredging. You're basically taking wet material and you're moving it to somewhere else. Typically what's done is you make another land structure, an island, if you will, in a body. That's not feasible with the type of water structure Lake Malibu has because of the way the river comes in. You're basically going to create an island that through various storms it's going to move again. So it's
like on the river, yeah.
Yeah. The other one is a dry dredge, or you could take wet dredging and you could take it off the lake somewhere. And we've explored those options. There's no place to put it. We've looked at the gun club. We've looked at some other areas. There isn't anybody who says, yes, I can take that wet dredging material. Then we looked at dry dredging. Dry dredging requires a drawdown. That's the only way you can do it, and you have to bulldoze it out. The problem with dry dredging is you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of semi-trucks that would have to traverse down the roads, and we have not received, North Hudson in particular was vehemently against that. They said the roads just won't support that.
Yeah.
And so it's really not a viable option. So that hence, for us. For Hudson, and we had a call with the DNR on Friday to try to clarify this process that we're talking through. They said it is not necessarily off the table for the city of Hudson to look at that for the North Bay. And they would welcome a conversation on that.
And we take the bill.
Dredging?
Dredging. I don't know who gets the bill.
Is that cheaper than Lake Malibu?
Again, I'm out of my comfort zone on what I can speak to.
So, are you done on that?
I can be.
Well,
Yeah.
you brought something up. I'm just curious. Oh, it wasn't you that brought it up, I think. But so, is the Lake Malibu Association? Is it just comprised of people who have property on Lake Malibu proper, or does it include people that are up there on the Willow?
So a lake association, according to how the state of Wisconsin has set this up, is anyone who resides in the lake and who lives within a mile of the lake, in this case an impoundment. So it's open to anyone who's on the lake. There's roughly just over, I believe we're in 104 people live on the lake, and any resident within a mile of the lake.
Okay. And why would somebody who lives on the lake be opposed to this?
I would love to tell you I understand the answer. I don't. I think there's a lot of really good concerns. Some of them have been raised here with regards to potential impact on the St. Croix, potential impact on wildlife, other areas. We're working hard to address those. That'll be part of the public forum, is to be able to address those issues. There's concerns about swans. There's concerns about fishery, other aspects. We have a lot of
They're willing to allow the lake to go dead, or what do you call it?
It's eutrophic.
Eutrophic? Eutrophic? Yeah.
I mean, a eutrophic lake is not good. I mean, it has very low oxygen. It's not healthy. You're going to see algae blooms, significant other areas within this. Again, I'm not an expert in this field. I'm just doing from what I've read and what I've been told. But this lake is on a path, and unless there's some mediation, it doesn't repair itself without some intervention.
Could I ask, to Jeff's points that he's made regarding the DNR, can we not get the DNR at one of these meetings to be present to ask questions before we make a decision? It seems like that's a missing piece here.
Thank you, Councilmember. It's an excellent question. Yes, the DNR would be happy to participate once the application is signed.
Oh my gosh.
It is their process. I am very, very sorry. We're dealing with what we have.
Yeah.
And
it's not you, it's just.
Yeah, it's a chicken and egg conversation. We talk about this all the time. Doesn't this seem kind of cart before the horse? And it is what it is. This is how they operate.
What would, and that maybe not a question for you, what would trigger Randy to wake up someday in August and say, I'm going to check in on that drawdown situation. I've got more questions. I mean, I think once we give you our permission, not you personally, I'm just saying, if I were running this program, I'd get all my signatures, put them in my briefcase, and go to the next step. This is the last time it has to land at this meeting. I mean, you guys could, Stan Tech could come back and do, their numbers could be whatever, but will it ever, it doesn't have to come back to this. Once we say yes tonight.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's our yes. So we might want to withhold our yes until we have.
So I appreciate that. And in the spirit of cooperation, I mean, if you want to pull us back in front of this with Stan Tech I've already talked to them. They'll be happy to attend the meeting as well. Independent of all this, to answer further questions, we would be happy to. We're trying to be fully transparent.
Sure,
I'm not trying to draw down a lake simply because I want to have a drawn down lake. I mean, I'm going to be 5-6 months with nothing on this. And so it's not necessarily awesome. It's just, this is what's got to happen, we believe, in order to try to mitigate some of the situation. If this council provides approval and you want to have us back post the public forum or other things before the actual drawdown, which would happen mid-September, I'm happy to make sure we're here. We commit to that. I will commit to have the engineering resource. We have Stan Tech here as well. And at that time, if you're still not comfortable, you want to pull the application, that is your right.
And I appreciate that, and for working with us like that. But again, I'm just trying to look in the future. We sign this, and then you do more of the research, and then you tell us, not you, but all the studies are done, and there's new numbers and charts and graphs. I guess I'll throw it to us: will there be a number on a chart or a professional with an official badge or something that says, here's exactly what's going to happen, and here's the results, and I guarantee it? Nobody's going to guarantee it.
No.
So will there be? Do we know what we're looking for to say yes on this? And if we don't know if there's ever anything for us to say yes on it, I'm not sure why we'd say yes tonight.
And I
That's
want some
more of a
kind of,
puzzle
not a
for us to think
guarantee,
about.
but what if? What if it does? Well, we don't think it'll affect the north, but what if it does? What are they gonna do? Not bummer.
Yeah.
Now you deal with it. What are they gonna do if this drawdown solves one problem and creates another one over here?
But that's
What are
why
they gonna do?
we need the DNR. We need to talk to the DNR and they won't come, so.
So let me,
I mean,
we're kind of talking chicken and egg
Yep.
here, right? And that's been brought up before. The things that we have asked of Stan Tech that the association has agreed to pay for with Stan Tech is to do an analysis of what happens when the water goes beyond the dam, either dam, all right? Has everybody been to the secondary dam? Okay, I recommend you go over there. So Stan Tech has agreed, which is kind of what we're waiting for, is an analysis coming from Stan Tech on what would happen if well, first of all, like I said, what happens with the sediment once it leaves the dam, because they said that that's where it ended. Their study and analysis ended right there. It goes downstream, that's all they said. So we wanted to get them to talk to us about the sediment coming and dropping in the channel just around the bend from the railroad that feeds into the North Bay that has been silted up and has restricted water flow, natural water flow in the North Bay, which I contend was useful in cleaning out a lot of the different things that we had in the North Bay. We had also asked them if they would do an analysis on the feasibility of trying to clean out the North Bay by increasing the flow coming from the secondary dam, all right?
Mm-hmm.
If we were to open the secondary dam to its fullest capacity and do an equilibrium with the major dam, the primary dam, and allow that water to flow, would it help to clean out our North Bay by creating that additional flow? That analysis would stop, I presume.
Correct.
So we would have nothing. Is that right?
Correct.
So in the meantime, I think that by signing the application, allowing the process to begin, would then give direction to Stan Tech to continue with the analysis and hopefully provide us with the information we're looking for. There's no guarantee of that though either, is there?
It's the best available data and the best available modeling with assembled experts.
And we don't have to pay for it.
It's on the lake. It's part of the state grant.
Weren't we waiting for that to?
That's what
I was
they were
thinking that
supposed
would
to give
come,
us.
and then now we'd have some information in front of us to make our decision on this.
That's what we had asked for in September.
So what you have now is the most sophisticated modeling available based on historical data from other drawdowns within this, used within this. The flow that you're looking for, which would be part of the bathymetric study, would be a completely new process within that. It was measuring outputs and along those lines. Those have been done before, don't get me wrong. They're very expensive studies. That has not been authorized to be done. We have agreed to do that on behalf of requests from the city and others in order to make sure we have more information within this.
I think that would be seems to be the logical route, and then we hold the ACE card. If we decide that this is not right, we're pulling our signature. But we have to get people to the table. We have to get the information to make a smart decision. Instead of just throwing gum at a wall. You know?
Just as an example, we did have a conversation last week, I think, with Dendy from Stan Tech, their expert that we've been talking to over a period of time, but first time we talked to her in a long time. And she told us that she believed that, I think it was 24% you know, I don't think it was quite 25, but it might have been 25, I might have heard it wrong. Percent of the total water flow could be managed by, that would be managed by opening up that secondary dam. I think that's high. I think that's extremely high, but that's just an example of some of the information that we might be getting out of them.
That's what the construction of the dam states. So she's just giving you the data the dam states. We had a discussion with a gentleman named Ben Koch, who's with the DNR, who's their dam expert. He's familiar with this dam. He said that secondary dam has a 30-inch diameter pipe.
Right.
That's the extent of your flow. He said if you're looking to circulate water through a 30-inch diameter pipe, you're not going to get much movement. It is meant as a backup dam, if you will, within this in case there's significant issues with the other ones or to handle significant rain events or other areas. So his concern is he loves the concept. He doesn't know if it creates the turbidity and flow that you're looking for to rectify the situation.
Is that secondary open?
Yeah, there's, I can't say maybe about that. We went and looked at it again last week, and
How's the flow? I mean,
and actually we weren't. I mean, he opened it at quite a bit. Well, not maybe a third of capacity while we were there.
Is that what it means when they decouple it from the drawdown on here? I thought that meant it should be done separately, not at the same time as the drawdown.
No, they were going to do an analysis on whether that would accommodate both things.
Because here it says that it sounds to me like it shouldn't happen at the same time as the drawdown.
Okay, well, again,
well,
that's
either
information.
when I was growing up and we'd swim and fish down there, that thing was rushing quite heavily, and there was always a flow coming through that North Bay towards St. Croix Street.
Right.
That's almost non-existent right now.
Yeah, and it gets plugged up. There's a lot of debris down there.
Yeah.
And
So
if you open it to its fullest,
I would think it would.
That doesn't mean it won't still get plugged up.
No, there'd be maintenance to it because there's always trees that are getting sucked under both the dams.
It increased the flow considerably.
Would that lower the level of Malibu then, and we'd be back here with another issue?
It would. Well, there's always water going under the dam. It's under the dam,
right?
Under the dam, bottom of the dam. So there's always.
Right.
I maybe
Spill
shouldn't
over.
say always. Maybe in the water level of the lake is down. Maybe it's not as much, but there's a significant amount of water going that you can see. So I don't think that by opening that would even stop the flow. I know it wouldn't stop the flow at the main dam.
Yeah.
So the drawdown request is for 5 inches a day for a total depth reduction of 7.5 feet, which would take roughly a month. The city of Hudson gave us information, Kip provided the information to us, that there has been as much as 1 inch a day to 21 inches a day coming through that dam, just depending upon how the dam's been operating. So it's had pretty significant fluctuations within that. This would be a controlled release of 5 inches. The reason you're doing a controlled release of 5 inches is you want to control what's flowing through that dam. And so basically what would be flowing in the drawdown is no different than what flows on a normal day, which is typically around that amount, because water flows through that dam every day. Sediment flows through that dam every day. Phosphorus flows through that dam every day. So you try to do that. It's when the water's down and you get into the spring rain seasons within that, what happens with moving sediment within that. And that's what the modeling is depicting, is when the water's down, not when the water's coming out for the drawdown. It's after it's down, and now you have rain events and other things, what happens within this. And so I think the modeling is trying to help determine what, if any, movement happens within that.
So you want a signature, you want a yes from us, but I'd like to proffer that we could give you a maybe. And I'm sure the DNR doesn't accept maybes.
Unfortunately.
But Randy, you brought up a good point. We got to allow this thing to breathe a little bit and bring the experts to the table. We're not going to fight the, state DNR and say you should do it differently because we said so. But I want to make sure that we do have locked and loaded an agenda item on a particular date where this gets brought back up. After you've done the studies, after we've talked it through, after we've had an open house,
A public comment.
public comment. And I'll be honest, it's going to take a lot to change my mind. Right now, I'm a no, but I also don't, I know it's not going to happen today, so, do we sign
I just don't
it?
think without her signature, we get enough information to make a
Right.
good decision.
Right. But again, I don't want this just to go, oh my,
And I
it's
agree.
September. Hey, the water's, we're going to start this tomorrow.
So if I may offer timing,
Yeah.
the DNR is looking to have these signatures in by June. That allows them the notification period they need. They need to commence a formal public 30-day public comment period. So from whenever that clock starts, let's say it's June 15th, 30 days they allow for public comment. At that point, their process says they will do internal reviews with the public comments to understand whether or not they will then formalize a decision in terms of a drawdown. What we said to them on Friday is we would like to, in that same period, hold a public forum sponsored by the Lake Association with the DNR, with Stantec, with, we hope, Willow River Conservancy and everybody else who has a vested interest in this, to be part of this public forum, to allow the public to hear presentations from all the different groups on the information and ask any pertinent questions that they have. The DNR has agreed to that. I'm going to approach Willow River. I'm going to approach Stantec as well on that. And we suggested to the DNR, is there anybody else? We just don't know who the experts are, but let's get them in the room if we need to allow the public the opportunity to have that discussion. Post that meeting, DNR still hasn't made a decision in terms of whether or not to allow the drawdown. If the city, who we encourage you to be there as well, comes out at me and say, way too many questions still, don't have the answers, and you want to come back and say, I just don't feel comfortable about this, we should maybe pull our signature, process stops. Full stop.
Mike, do you have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I will move that we sign the document, but included in that with conditions of a public forum, public hearing, and within the motion, making sure we have the ability to pull the signature. I want it in writing.
So
I
you
want it in the
You
motion.
want a definitive date?
Well, yeah. What?
That was your voice.
That was you.
What kind of date are you looking for? A month, 2 months?
Well, if you said June.
15th of June?
That's when it opens it up.
That'd be a 30-day start window. So then it'd be July 15th. If you have an August meeting and you'd like to have us back in here, we would fully agree to that.
What would be the earliest you would draw down?
September, after Labor Day.
After Labor Day, so it would have to be before Labor Day.
July?
Have to be
It'd
before
have to
Labor
be
Day.
like July, maybe. Do we have a second meeting in July?
Yeah.
Can this approval expire?
It does, not, according to DNR, no.
Okay.
But all
you
it
can
takes
pull
is
it.
the mayor to pull it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as like he did last time. And we're out. Right?
Yeah.
So July 15th?
I-
The second meeting in July?
But I just want to caution, if they start June 15th, July 15th is when the public comment section stops. That doesn't mean all the information's in. So I would respectfully ask if we could go another couple weeks prior to that. You could put a stipulation in there to the DNR as well. My understanding is from the DNR that, by signing the application letter, you're approving the application for this, but you have the right as a dam owner to withdraw your application at any time prior to and up to the day it's to commence.
I would say August 1st at the latest.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you want the DNR to come to a council meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
DNR,
Yes.
Stantec, all the players that have to sit at the table and make decisions.
I would agree.
So it's a little bit different, at least as I understand it, than the statutory process or the regulatory process that the DNR will go through. That will be initiated. But under Councilmember Morset's motion, the DNR and Stantec would be required to come to a council meeting in July.
Or the public forum, as he's saying they would. They've agreed to it, right?
Yes.
Well, I guess,
But I wanna hear.
but my question is, do you want that to be part of the public forum process? Or do you want the DNR to come to a meeting and be present so that you can ask these questions?
Yes, both,
Yes.
both.
I just want to be clear, please, I can't speak for the DNR. I don't know what they're
No,
doing.
I get that.
I can commit to us and to Stantec.
So my clear as mud motion, no pun intended, I guess.
Oh, God.
So no further than August 1st. If we don't have the information by August 1st, we're pulling our signatures. And we want the public forum to happen, but I do request that early July or after the 15th of June, after they have the public comment, have them here, Stantec and the DNR.
Is there a specific date in July on the calendar already? that I
Our
can
second
let them know?
meeting, or for,
For what?
If you would like them here, I can inform them.
Oh, it'd be our second meeting. Do we have a,
Yeah, hang on, I'll get it.
Do we have two or just one in July?
Just one.
just, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think if need be, it's important enough to have a special meeting called.
Good point.
I would agree.
July 20th.
July 20th.
Perfect.
That's
I'd
a day.
probably be better at a special meeting anyways.
Yeah.
So when do you want to do the special meeting?
After the 4th of July weekend holiday.
So like the 13th, back-to-back week.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, not to be a broken record, it's still within the 30-day window, so I just
So it'd
don't.
have to be after the 15th.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure we're going to be able to give you the information you
Well,
want.
then we were looking at the 20th.
So we wouldn't have citizen feedback, but we still could get information from the DNR and Stantec if they came here.
Yeah.
So they,
Yes.
yeah, so that, I'm
You'd
good
have-
with that.
You'd have Stantec's information and other experts. The DNR would tell you, we still don't have, if our public window comment period is open, they're not comfortable making comment until it's closed.
And it closes,
About
Comment.
what's right and wrong for the river?
It's information, it's informative, it's not.
They
Want to hear what everyone
They
else
want to hear what everybody has to say.
I'm deeply sorry. I'm not trying to speak on behalf of the DNR. I'm just trying to
No, that's
interpret their
fair.
process.
Get it?
I have just a quick question, again, back to Stantec. When we last met, we were waiting for the what happens after the dam.
Yes.
Is there a reason Stantec said, let's just wait until we get their signature for 2026, then we'll do our work?
No,
Were they told to stand down and not do anything? Or were they told, get this done, the city of Hudson really needs this information, and they're just getting around to it?
So what Stantec has provided is the modeling showing this is what's coming out. And that's what you have in front of you.
Right.
Okay.
But we asked what happens once that gets on the other side. Where does
That's
it
part
go?
of the bathymetric that happens within it. That was never authorized, that in our discussions with the city, we've agreed to fund as a lake association. That happened this past January.
Okay. So it's a longer process than
It's a
okay.
very intensive study, is my
Okay.
understanding.
I just didn't want them to.
But we would have that by then.
That I will move heaven and earth to get it done to the degree we can. They work for us, so.
But that's important to the motion on the table, because the question, as I understand it from the council, is what's the impact going to be on the river, and what's the impact to the North Bay going to be?
Yes.
And that's a discussion that I think the council wants to have with Stantec and with the DNR to understand that if the city proceeds to endorse the drawdown, that it has an understanding, at least a relative understanding of what the impact to its waterfront resources will be.
Absolutely. And I think that's a fair request. What I would suggest, though, just in the spirit of, again, of full disclosure, you're going to get modeling. The bathymetric study is going to say if this happens, this happens. If this happens, this happens. The question is which if, because you're going to get a range. That's what you're going to get. Because there's no definitive answer until water moves. One way or another. What you will get is the absolute best scientific data available based on what they see for flow right now, what they see from previous drawdowns, including some in the area, including some of those going into St. Croix, across Wisconsin and Minnesota within this. That's going to be a predictive capability within this. But I want to reiterate to the council, I know you really want a definitive, it's this or it's this. That's not going to happen in any of the studies. What you're going to get is, this is what we anticipate will happen. And in the modeling, they also model catastrophic events. So if you had a 1,000-year flood, this is what would happen. If you had normal rainfall, this is what would happen. If you had below average, this is what would happen. If you had above average, this is what would happen.
So what
Modeling is wrong, what would happen? I mean, that's kind of, that's what I'm waiting for.
The modeling, yeah, the modeling is done based on actual events that have happened.
Right.
So what do we need more time then for them to get us the information we are
Well, that's
requesting?
kind of what we're asking Jeff. I mean, so if it's the 15th for the end of the 30-day period, we meet on the 20th.
Let's target that.
Pardon me?
The
Let's
20th?
target that.
Okay.
So no need the special meeting yet.
No.
Yeah.
So the 20th
Yeah.
of July.
Should
So
be.
you're going to restate your motion?
I don't
Got
know, we
most of
can.
it?
I don't think so. To sign the agreement.
Sign the agreement with the association or the DNR to initiate the process and have an absolute deadline of August 1st, but having a meeting with Stantec, the DNR, on July 20th,
And any other principals.
and any other, principals.
DNR and any other principals.
Yep.
Yeah, we would, I mean, again, I'm not speaking for us. I'd love to have Willow River Conservancy. I'd love to have anybody else. I can't speak on behalf of them or the DNR.
Right.
I think they should all be welcome, at least maybe notified.
It's
obviously.
just, I think not only notified, but we should be requesting their presence.
Right,
A meeting on July 20th.
yes.
Is it a point of order question, Nick, for that date to come and go? And if we have the meeting, we don't have, this motion isn't reaffirming after that date, we're still good to go. We have to actively withdraw our signature.
Correct.
But this date doesn't say anything gets withdrawn, it just,
No, we would take it up.
we take it, okay,
We would take it up.
All right.
Yeah. So there is a deadline.
okay.
Well, and if the earliest that they're going to draw down is September, you have your meeting on the 20th of July, and whether you're comfortable having that discussion at that point, or whether you take it up at your first meeting in August, you just make the determination as to whether you've received sufficient explanation and information, or you make the decision to pull the application.
Okay, thanks. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kip, you had your hand up about an hour and a half ago.
Is it tired?
Yeah, please.
Now you gotta throw a wrench in the whole thing.
Kip Peters, Utility Director. I think Jeff answered most of my questions that I was asking. The one that I kind of had for Nick was, Jeff stated that once you sign this, you can pull your signature. Is that true, for one, that you can pull your signature at any time? Because there is going to be grant dollars spent here before, I'm assuming, Jeff, you're paying for these studies with them grant dollars. So there is grant dollars that are going to be spent before anything happens. My concern is if those grant dollars are spent, the city pulls their signature, September 1st, are we on the hook for any of that? I guess that's my legal question to Nick. I would just,
that's a good point.
You're dealing with the state again. So when you sign something with the state, you're locking yourselves in pretty tight. And I just want to be sure that, that's my only question. So.
Yeah.
Jeff, or Nick, either.
No, I was going to say, I don't know the answer to that question. All I know is what happened last year, where we authorized it, and then we decided that we weren't going to pursue it. Now, I don't know whether any grant dollars were spent, right? Yeah, now, we're not a party to the grant, right? So that's not, I mean, that's, whatever the risk is, it's undertaken by the parties to the grant. If we have the authority to withdraw our application at any point, it should be regardless of whether there's a tie to grant spending. But I don't know the answer to the specific question, other than what we experienced last year.
Well, but Jeff, please. There had been money expended already from the grant when we
Yes.
pulled it last time.
Yes. Yes.
So the
grant-
original analysis that was done just for Lake Malibu,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, the grant is from the state of Wisconsin, specifically to the Lake Association to address the breach, the damage from the breach. That grant is between the Lake Malibu Association and the state of Wisconsin on funding from within that. We have gone back to the state to say, we want to do these studies. Is that part of the grant? They said, we consider that part of the grant. It is entirely on the Lake Association's funding from the grant. No other party is subject to any of that expense. I hope that helps. Kip, does that help? Yeah. Okay.
So the actual form is this page 102 on our packet here. You have to fill out your name, 1 through 6 it says, and then return it.
That's the application form?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Very little small type, and definitely no, but if you want to pull it at any time, I mean, back to what Kip just brought up. Again, you didn't come up with this form, but we are signing something, like buying a used car. We're going to sign something and go, oh, I think I want to change my mind. Nowhere in this document does it say we can reconsider at a later date, and that concerns me.
So thank you, Councilman, if I may. That we specifically asked the DNR on Friday in our call with them. It doesn't have anything in the form on this. Is there something in it? They said we would be happy to add language. That the dam owners, there's 4, if at any time before the drawdown you want to pull it, you have the right to do so, and the process stops.
And that would be a DNR form?
DNR language.
DNR form?
Subject to the form, or however you want it.
And how fast can you get that executed?
I can get it to you tomorrow.
I think that's
I would add that to the motion.
Okay, contingent upon.
Yep, on the updated language on the
How's that motion going, Becky?
Real good. I'll get it to you
And
tomorrow.
is that something that Nick can view before we sign it?
Yeah.
Of course. I'll second that whole
Contingent, what did you say, Randy?
Okay, so.
updated
Updated form.
Yeah, updated form with the language.
release or something on it.
Yeah. Okay, well, have we exhausted this conversation? Is there anything anybody else wants to add? Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thank you, everybody, on that. Next up is approving transportation resolution. Has everybody had a chance to look at the transportation resolution, or do you need me to read it?
No, that's not.
What?
You need to read it.
Becky could read it, maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is just telling the state that we're saddled with a responsibility that we're not getting additional funding for, sufficient funding for from the state, and we're requesting that they help out. So,
I like it.
and do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second to approve resolution for the transportation resolution to send to the state or to our legislative contingents.
Yeah, legal municipalities will handle these.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Direct staff to prepare a resolution to begin the vacation process to partially discontinue a portion of undeveloped public right-of-way for Wisconsin Street generally located at 302 2nd Street Riverfront Collective LLC. Yep. Mike.
Thank you. Good evening. This is basically kicking off a process of discontinuation of a remnant piece of right-of-way. There's roughly 2,000 square feet.
Did you catch that?
Located smack dab in the middle of the parking lot, just on the south side of what was Ziggy's, is now Max's social house. So this doesn't, it's, again, just kicking it off. Then we will come back with a resolution that will make a statement about it being in the best interest of the public to move forward with. And the council will weigh in at that point. And with that, if there are any questions, I can answer them, but it's pretty straightforward, you know.
Yep. Anybody? We have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on a pre-annexation agreement for Windmill Holdings LLC.
All right, these next two items are kind of one and the same because they're kind of progressing on parallel timelines. We haven't, I know that the council has seen these in the past, and we've had a number of issues we had to work through, or have been working through, one being our sewer service area plan, one being sewer capacity issues, pinch points, which we have a handle on now. And then the other, obviously, we're moving forward with our boundary agreement public hearing with the town of Troy. So all those things going, you know, kind of running parallel. It's just that it was a good idea to kind of bring these front and center. I wouldn't get too, they're going to change a little bit as we go through our capital cost study updates and, you know, the budget study updates, but they are both moving forward, and we look to, you know, potentially see annexation agreements moving forward in the next couple months.
Oh, wow.
I'll move we approve the windmill pre-annexation agreement.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on a pre-annexation agreement for JPB Land LLC.
Same thing.
Yep.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on the purchase of replacement investigator vehicle. Thanks, Mike.
Good evening.
Chief?
So I had this at finance tonight. Basically, I'll be honest with you, trying to be creative with funds that we have available to us to maximize the needs of our department, right? Knowing that we probably have some cuts coming up, just trying to get everything we can. There was some money approved in capital for police equipment for a boat that we're not going to be spending on that boat, so that's the ask to purchase the vehicle to replace that car that was going to need to be replaced next year anyway, with those funds.
It was was it the second one that was?
Yeah, it was a 2022 used Ford pickup truck with 28,500 miles on it for $33,400, minus the trade-in of $6,000, so $27,400.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Department head reports. Drew?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Attached tonight in the packet was our monthly summary for calls and activities for April. We had a little dip in calls in April, which was kind of nice, but we unfortunately are making up for it this month as we're way ahead this month where we were last month. So nothing out of the ordinary. With a monthly report, there's also a quarterly report attached, just gives a little broader view of the first 3 months of the year, of what's going on. There's just a couple things I want to touch on. We did an internal process for an assistant chief's position that'll be starting in June. We had 2 candidates apply. We made the recommendation to Police and Fire Commission on one of our internal candidates for the promotion to assistant chief. That gentleman will be starting June 1. We'll be bringing him forward for swearing in at the next council meeting, which happens to be in June 1st. So that'll be coming up. Many of you probably have received or will be receiving the community survey regards the potential referendum for staffing. So please take the time to fill it out, either electronically or send it back. If you want additional codes, if there's more than one person in your household that wants to fill it out, you can call the fire station, and our administrative assistant will give you another code to allow multiple votes per household. So just one was sent out per address. So, but you can vote multiple times per household. So, and just to give you fair warning, it's liquor license renewal season, and unfortunately things are not going well again, and we're way behind. And a lot of that has to come, I believe, to the next council meeting in June. And I would say probably half of the establishments have not reached out for inspections yet. Jeez. Just to make you aware of it. And again, I don't know what the problem is. This is our third year of doing this.
Well, technically more than that.
Well, technically more than that, but we'll see. They got a couple weeks to get everything done. But again, then that also means that if there is any violations, that they have to have those corrected prior to issuance of the license. And we're within 2 or 3 weeks of what they need to have done, and over half probably have not even reached out for inspection. So just want to make you aware of it.
I'm just going to pick on my report for that.
Yeah.
And we've reached out 3 times. They've got notifications from my office 3
This
times.
year?
This year.
Wow.
From the initial and then 2 reminders.
So we're going to end up like we did, whatever, 3 years ago, and we said, that's it, you don't?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not lack of trying to reach out to them.
Yeah.
We promise not to be Mr. Nice Guy anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Still a little time, but time is ticking. So there's my quick report.
Well, there you go.
All you have left.
Any questions? Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Chief. Jeff?
Attached calls for service for April, I believe it was. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's starting to pick up again this time of year. We'll probably start seeing our monthly calls for service about double. So ramping up for that. Obviously, you saw the 2 new officers that were sworn in today. They'll be in field training. Officer Fenton will probably have more of an abbreviated training because he's been a sworn officer for a couple years. Officer Nucky, who just literally graduated the police academy, will probably be a full 5-6 months training process. So we don't anticipate seeing them really on the street until after the summer. June 1st, if you don't know, we were 3 short with the 3 that left. We did hire a 3rd person. He'll be starting the police academy on June 1st in Chippewa Valley Technical College there in Eau Claire. So he'll graduate in September and then start his field training process. So hopefully by the middle of 2027, we'll actually be back up to snuff. It takes a long time. We lose one person. It can take a long time to get back up to where we need to be. You lose 3 of them, it's a problem. So I apologize in advance for the overtime budget this year. Only other update I have is the new construction of the new PD. All of the construction is about 95% done. They're just working on the finishing touches of the fence. We are waiting for probably another month for furniture delivery, a couple of weeks for appliances to be delivered, and then we are anticipating a mid-July move-in date. So I'm looking forward to being able to take you guys through on a tour once we get settled and moved in there. But it's coming along nicely. And with that,
thank you.
I have any questions.
And Raider turned a year.
Raider's birthday was last week. He's a year old again.
Okay, anybody?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Sam?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A couple of items to highlight out of the Finance Department this evening. First being the 2025 audit is substantially complete. We're waiting for some guidance out of the state from the DOT on whether we need a single audit for the 11th Street project. Assuming if that's a no, then they're ready to go. Otherwise, we'll need that single audit, and we'll be presenting to the council either at the first or second meeting in June. Second item is we have all the signatures we need as of this evening, and we can close the 2025 or 2026A bond issuance on the 26th. So funds will hit the city's account on the 26th, and we'll move forward from there. Last item I have for you is we're going to start working on the 2027 budget because audit's done. Why not? One thing that will be a little bit different this year, assuming that the surveys come back favorable, is we will likely need to create or propose two budgets throughout the process. One budget if the referendum passes, and one if it doesn't. So we'll be talking quite a bit, kind of just having two budgets presented at all times. I wanted to get that out in front of you guys as early as possible. I would anticipate a full schedule coming to you guys at the next meeting. So that's what I have, and we'll move on to the next department head report.
Anybody? Thank you, Sam.
Thanks,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Hey, Kip.
Good evening, everybody. Kip Peters, Utility Director. Just wanted knowing that this is my second one this month that I'm doing, so
Wow.
you should expect more out of them back there. So staff have been out. We've been flushing hydrants in the village. Put some nice pictures in there for you and some dead ends throughout the city. We're required to do that, but it also gives us a chance to get out into the system, check the fire hydrants to make sure that they're good after winter, that everything is operational. As you've probably driven around, you probably noticed there's a lot of projects going on in the city with new development. That affects my department as well for new installation of water and sewer. So staff have been busy out on site, doing inspections and different things like that we have to do for all these new projects. Something that you haven't heard about, let's talk about the Willow River Dam. I'll make it brief. So we are installing a new control panel in there. They were there last week, putting a new control panel in. The current one was sold. We can't even get parts for it anymore. So they are putting a new control panel in there, which is also tying into our SCADA system, which will make it more automatic for staff. As you know, or if you don't know, my staff are there every single day. Weekends, holidays, it doesn't matter. My staff are there every single day checking that dam. So that's not going to change, but this should help us in terms of being able to see any issues from runoff, big rain events, different things like that, so we can kind of get ahead of them. And wastewater staff have also been out jetting sewer lines and cleaning lift stations. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kip. Brent.
Yeah, my report is not much different from past reports, dealing with a lot of the different AHR issues over the last couple months, working through a lot of the same things, working again with the finance director. He already said turning corner, we're heading toward the 2027 budget. That's pretty much it. We're bringing some issues for you guys to rank as far as what you wish for me to be doing on a daily basis. Should be bringing that here probably in the next month.
One question, I had sent an email out, and I don't know if I included you, but about it, and about the mail that we used to get. We used to have mailboxes for council people. I see it does get delivered because she had a letter from someone today.
If I see it, I usually bring it to the council meeting.
Yeah, that and ribbon cuttings. Do we not get invited to the ribbon cuttings of businesses anymore?
I don't see anything for those.
I don't see anything on those.
I get invited here and there. Unfortunately, we had a ribbon cutting for Royal Credit Union, and
Right.
I had to beg off at the last minute because we had a change of a time for a meeting that we had with Troy. And I mean, I've been to other either ribbon cuttings or groundbreakings. So
Yeah.
I can't speak for what has happened in the past.
Well, typically it was always, everybody got invited, but maybe it's changed, but I was just wondering about mail.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Just for FYI, and
Oh.
no actionable item.
Very clear, your own big scissors.
Oh.
Mary Claire.
I am happy to share any of that information to folks that are interested in participating on this Saturday, May 23rd at 1 o'clock. Randy, I expect to see you at Max's Social House for their grand opening.
That one I would do.
Well, yes, I'm aware. But,
Big scissors.
but so that is this Saturday at 1 o'clock at Max's Social House. But whatever the best way is for us to communicate those groundbreaking and ribbon cuttings, if you want me to send them to the administrator or Becky. Okay, then you can, very good.
If the council's invited.
Yeah, and is that you
Yes.
that does that? Because, I mean, the ones I get are coming from the businesses, you know?
Well, I mean, the Royal Credit Union groundbreaking, the invitation for you and for me came from Royal Credit Union, but I'm happy to share ones that we're doing too, if
That's
you're
cool.
interested.
I just,
Okay.
yeah. There's your answer, Randy.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
good question.
See you Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm out of town.
Are we planning a police and public works ribbon cutting since we're on the topic? Okay.
You want to be invited?
No, I want to make sure Randy's there.
I'll move
No, I've got nothing.
move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
We for